Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
What if the way you start your morning decided the entire direction of your life? What if one simple choice at sunrise could separate drifting through the day from commanding it with power? And what if success wasn't something you chased, but something you attracted, simply by how you began each morning? Every day, you wake up with two options: repeat yesterday or command today. The difference lies in one small act done before the noise, before the world pulls at you. An act that flips your mindset from passive to powerful. It centers your thoughts on who you are becoming, not just who you've been. This single habit shapes your energy, your confidence, your decisions. Success starts moving toward you. You don't chase it anymore. You draw it in by how you begin. In just a few moments, I'll show you how one morning habit can naturally attract unstoppable success. Wake up with a definite purpose. You can rise with intention or drift without aim, and that choice begins the second your eyes open. If your day starts without clarity, you've already handed your power away. But if your very first breath carries purpose, real, chosen purpose, you seize control of your life. Success never meets the man who wakes up confused. It walks beside the one who wakes up certain. And certainty doesn't arrive by chance. It comes from choice, made fresh each morning. Before the birds finish their song, you stand before your own mind and declare, "This is what I am building today. This is who I am becoming." Each day is a block of granite. Your purpose is the chisel. Without it, you don't sculpt, you only scratch. So ask yourself, what do I want this day to become? Not what others demand, not what the world expects, but what must be done to turn vision into reality. After all, would a builder walk onto a construction site without a blueprint? What would a builder create without a blueprint? Nothing but disorder. Yet that's how most people live, waiting for someone else to decide their day. But you are not most people. So ask yourself, why am I rising? What truly matters today? What action will make me proud when night falls? Success doesn't come from trying harder, it comes from aiming better. And you must set that aim first thing in the morning, when the mind is still, before the world has a chance to interfere. Each morning offers silence. Use it. Close your eyes, speak your intention, see it, feel it, then rise like a man on a mission, because that's exactly who you are. Speak victory over your day. The tongue is either a tool or a trap. The first words you speak each morning will either ignite conviction or smother your fire before it even begins. You've seen it. One man wakes and groans, another long day. Another declares, "This is the day everything changes." Which one walks out ready to win? You are what you speak, especially to yourself. Most people never realize it, but the subconscious listens closely in the morning. It hasn't yet set the rhythm of the day. It waits for your command. If your first words are doubt, dread, or defeat, you've already surrendered your power. But when you rise and say, "I am strong, I am capable, I will finish what I start," something within you pulls tight, like a bowstring drawn and ready. Do this before speaking to anyone else, even before you eat. Speak aloud, firm, clear, with power. Today, I rise with clarity. Today, I act without hesitation. Today, I attract success by what I build. Now picture a warrior walking into battle, mumbling complaints. He wouldn't last a minute. But when he shouts his oath, grips his blade, and charges forward, he's unstoppable. You are that warrior, and your weapon is your word. Each morning ask yourself, what truth must I declare over this day? What doubt must I silence before it takes root? Don't wait for confidence, speak it into existence. Declare your mindset, declare your goal, then prove those words with action. What you say in the morning becomes the story you live by noon. Review your definite chief aim daily. If you neglect your vision, you forget why you started, and when a man forgets his why, he becomes like a leaf in the wind, blown by circumstance, never rooted in purpose. Every morning, bring your mind back to that single aim, the one goal that elevates all others. Without it, life scatters into empty pursuits of approval, pleasure, and distraction. With it, everything aligns. Why does this matter in the morning? Because the mind is unshaped when you first rise. It's like warm clay, soft, moldable. If you press your purpose into it early, it sets firm. But if you leave it to the world, it will harden into fear, envy, and busyness. So open your notebook. Not a scrap, but one dedicated to your life's aim. Read it aloud, every word. Remind yourself what you are building and why it matters. Speak not only of the result, but of the character you must embody to deserve it. If you say you want freedom, wealth, or impact, review it as if it already exists. Let that fire guide your steps. Because what happens if an archer pulls his bow every morning but never looks at the target? He might release 100 arrows, but without aim, none will strike the mark. You are the archer, and your aim is your responsibility. Ask yourself, what am I truly working toward? Am I moving with direction, or just moving? Each morning, anchor yourself in your vision. When your aim is clear, decisions come easier, and your power multiplies. Discipline is not a mood, it's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through repetition, especially in the morning when the body craves comfort and the mind resists effort. You can't wait for the feeling, you must train it. If you only act on what feels good, you'll build a life of regret. But if you keep promises to yourself, even in the cold, the inconvenient, the uncomfortable, you'll shape a character that cannot be broken. Start each day with a task that demands effort. It might be a cold rinse, a morning walk, or even a handwritten note to your future self. These small acts declare, I command my will. Most people strengthen their comfort. You must train your grit. Think of a farmer who refuses to tend his field because he's not in the mood. How long before the harvest rots? You are not a slave to your feelings. You are master of your intention. When trained in the morning, discipline becomes a shield for the rest of the day. So ask yourself, what small battle will I win this morning to prove I'm stronger than my excuses? You want to attract success? Then act like the person success wants to meet. Disciplined, sharp, ready. The more mornings you win, the fewer days you waste. Practice inner stillness before action, before the noise of the world crashes in. Before the messages, the voices, the obligations, sit with yourself. There is a stillness within you that the world has trained you to ignore. It is not empty or passive. It is power in its most concentrated form. Each morning, you must return to that place, not as a ritual, but as a necessity. That quiet center is what separates blind reaction from purposeful response. It is not retreat, it's where the real battle begins. Most people wake and rush, sprinting into the day as if time were their master instead of their tool. That is like a soldier charging into battle without a plan, unaware of the enemy or the traps ahead. The result? Exhaustion, chaos, aimlessness, and regret. But you are not most people. You begin by not beginning right away. You close your eyes, breathe slowly, and sit still. In that stillness, something ancient awakens, your own voice. The one drowned out by demands, yet the one that remembers your purpose, your principles, your path. In those quiet moments, ask yourself, what weight am I still dragging from yesterday? Resentment, regret, overthinking, let it go. Burn it in the silence before it becomes a shadow on today. Stillness is not laziness. It is strategy. Picture a blacksmith striking cold iron. He sweats, he shouts, but nothing bends. Yet when he waits for the heat, the metal softens, and every strike has meaning. That heat is your stillness. Without it, your day becomes nothing but wasted blows. But with it, even the smallest act becomes deliberate, sharp, powerful. Give yourself the gift of presence. Just a few minutes with no movement, no talk, only awareness. Watch your thoughts rise and fade. Let your mind settle like stirred water returning to calm. Then ask, if today were my last chance to give my gift to the world, how would I act? Would I waste it in distraction, or move with clarity, love, and fire? Because action alone is never enough. Anyone can move, but moving with intention, that is mastery. That is where legacies are born. Stillness before motion, reflection before ambition. This is the rhythm of those who lead, those who last, those who build something eternal. Each morning you must also decide what you will refuse. Before the world lays claim on you, you face a quiet enemy. It does not roar or strike with force. It comes disguised as small choices, harmless diversions, well-meaning interruptions. If you do not confront it, it will steal everything, not in one blow, but through 1,000 soft cuts. Most people don't lose the day because they fail to plan. They lose it because they never defined what not to allow. They never drew boundaries. They never stood guard at the gate of their focus. And so the day gets hijacked by distractions, by the urgency of others, by demands unrelated to their true purpose. That's why you must wake each day with a firm refusal. Not anger, not resistance for its own sake, but a clear decision about what will not be allowed into your time, your thoughts, your actions. Success is not only built by what you pursue, it is protected by what you reject. Boundaries are your shield, and if you don't create them, someone else will create them for you. Most men don't fall because of one grand mistake. They fall through quiet compromise. They agree to meetings that don't matter, open messages that steal their focus, explain themselves to people who never truly listen. Inch by inch, they give away the very power they once swore to protect. Why? Because they never decided beforehand where the line was drawn. You must draw the line before the day begins. Rise not just with plans, but with conviction about what you will not allow. Each morning, choose one thing you refuse to permit. Speak it aloud, not for show, but for clarity. Say, today I will not chase approval. Today I will not argue with fools. Today I will not break my word to myself. When you speak it, you anchor it. You set your compass before the winds arrive. Without it, you are like a captain sailing without a map, always moving, yet never arriving. You'll react to every gust of wind, every wave of emotion, every demand for your attention, and call it productivity, but you'll be lost. Leadership begins with self-denial, not denial of joy or rest, but denial of anything that betrays your deeper mission. Refusal is not weakness, it is strength. It is the visible expression of self-respect. So ask yourself, clearly and without hesitation, what must I deny today to protect what I'm building? What distraction, habit, or expectation must be met with silence or a firm no? Because the most powerful choice you make at sunrise is not only what you'll do, but what you refuse to allow. Take dominion over your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, but you are the master responsible for them. You cannot control every idea that enters your mind, but you can control which ones you entertain, which ones you feed, and which ones you allow to take root. If you don't rise each morning with that authority in hand, your thoughts will steal it from you. They will command you, lead you, and pull you toward places you never wanted to go. The average man wakes up already enslaved. Not to another person, but to his own unchecked thinking. He begins the day weighed down by regret from the past, fear about the future, envy of others, and dissatisfaction with the present. These thoughts never ask permission, they arrive. And because he never questions them, he surrenders to them. Then he wonders why life feels heavy, why nothing changes, why his motivation slips away before noon. But you are not average. You don't let the mind wander like an unsupervised child. You stand guard over it. You govern your mind because you know this truth. Your thoughts shape your world. Each morning, before the world speaks, before demands pile on, you must first speak to yourself. Stand guard at the gate of your mind. Watch every thought that tries to pass through. Ask, does this thought strengthen me or weaken me? Does it sharpen me or soften me? If it does not serve you, replace it. Don't argue with it. Don't entertain it. Replace it. You are not a passenger. You are the architect. And architects never allow rotten beams to remain in their design. This discipline is what great men understood, from Marcus Aurelius to Benjamin Franklin, from Epictetus to Carnegie. The mind is a garden. No garden grows by accident. Neglect it, and weeds will take over. Doubt, fear, self-pity. These require no effort to grow. But when you rise with purpose and tend the soil of your thoughts, something else begins to root. Clarity, resolve, belief, power. That daily discipline is how giants are built. So each morning ask yourself with honesty, what thought must I release today? What regret from yesterday? What betrayal from last week? What shame from last year still lingers? And more importantly, what thought must I feed instead? Is it faith in yourself, a vision of what's possible, or the decision to rise again even after failure? Speak it aloud if you must. Today, release every thought that weakens you. Dwell only on what builds your future. Replace each complaint with gratitude, every fear with one step forward, every excuse with a reason to move. This is not magic. It's mental strength, earned in the quiet of each morning. Picture a builder with the finest tools, the strongest bricks, and a beautiful design, yet building on shifting sand. His mansion will collapse, not because of poor materials, but because of a weak foundation. Your thoughts are that foundation. If they are soft, your actions will crumble. If they are sharp, your progress will endure. So begin every day by laying that foundation again. Choose your thoughts as carefully as a wise man chooses his companions. Not every idea deserves your time. Not every emotion deserves your attention. You owe your energy only to the ones that make you stronger, because your life will never rise above the strength of the thoughts that hold it up. Guard them, shape them, and they will build a life worthy of your power. Then, move your body like a man who commands life. Your body is not a lifeless machine to drag through tasks. It is a living declaration, a reflection of your inner state, a visible message to the world and to yourself about who you are and how you intend to show up. Every gesture, every breath, every step in the first hour of morning is not just movement. Slouched shoulders whisper defeat. Dragging feet reveal doubt. Idle hands expose hesitation. But when you move with purpose, steps firm, shoulders back, breath deep, you tell the day exactly who's in charge. And you don't need a gym membership to reclaim your strength. You don't need a marathon to prove your discipline. What you need is intention, awareness, and the choice to see your body not as a burden to carry, but as a tool of power. The first hour after you wake is sacred. It sets the rhythm for everything that follows. And the man who commands his first hour often commands the rest of his life. Stand tall as you rise. Roll your shoulders back, plant your feet firmly, and stretch with strength, not laziness. Move as if you are awakening a warrior who has rested overnight, not a weary soul dragging himself into another day of obligation. And when you walk, walk with speed, not rush, but speed. There's a difference. Rushing is anxious, but speed is decisive. Let your movement declare that you are a man of clarity, not confusion. A man of action, not apology. The warriors of old, from Spartans to samurai, began each morning not with words, but with rituals of the body. They moved, trained, breathed, and focused. It wasn't about looking strong. It was about being strong. They commanded their bodies before the world could. They knew what we often forget. When the body obeys the mind begins to believe in itself. Confidence is not just a feeling, it's a habit. And the first habit is movement. So ask yourself each morning, what kind of man do I want to feel like today? Not someday, today. Do you want to feel bold? Then walk like it. Do you want to feel calm? Then move with composure. Do you want to feel powerful? Then take up space with your presence. Your body can access emotions that the mind alone cannot reach. It can pull you out of weakness before your thoughts even catch up. Picture a lion waking up. He does not crawl, sigh, or hesitate. He rises, shakes the dust from his mane, and moves forward with silent authority. No announcement, no permission, just motion. You were born with the same potential, yet the world will make you forget unless you remind yourself daily. Let your body be that reminder. Before you even speak, let your posture tell the story. When your chest is lifted, your spine straight, and your jaw firm, you awaken something ancient inside you. A primal certainty that needs no words. You no longer chase motivation, you become it. Your body, your breath, your pace all announce. This is a man who knows where he's going. So begin each day with deliberate movement. Wake the warrior within, shake off weakness, and move as if your future depends on it, because it does. Nothing attracts success, respect, or power more than a man who carries himself as if he already owns the outcome. When you move this way, the world responds. The day aligns. You walk through it not as a servant of time, but as its master. And then, speak gratitude with conviction. Gratitude is not a faint whisper into the void. It is a declaration of strength, the voice of a man who sees clearly. It is the choice to value what is present instead of being consumed by what is missing. When you begin your morning with gratitude, real, rooted gratitude, you unlock more than just good feelings. You awaken alignment, momentum, and power that shift not only your mood, but also your direction. Most men get this backward. They wait for circumstances to improve before they feel grateful. They wait for the bank account to grow, the recognition to arrive, the problems to disappear. Then they say they'll be thankful. But that isn't gratitude, that's reward. And life was never designed to hand out reward before recognition. Gratitude comes first. Gratitude in the silence, gratitude in the struggle. That is what unlocks the gates to more. You don't give thanks after life hands you something. You give thanks so life knows you're ready. Each morning, speak aloud 3 things you're grateful for. Not as a checklist, not just to sound positive, but as a way to rise above lack. This is how you face life directly and say, I see what I have, and I'm here to build on it. Don't whisper it. Say it with conviction, the same way you'd say your own name. I have breath in my lungs. I have strength in my legs. I have a mind that still believes. This isn't poetry, it's armor. And if you wake up feeling there's nothing to be grateful for, look again. You're alive. You're breathing. You've survived every hard day you once thought would break you. You're not finished. You're still in the fight. That makes you richer than millions who have already quit. There are people with more comfort than you who would trade it all just to feel what you still carry. Hunger, drive, the fire that refuses to die. Gratitude isn't sentiment, it's strategy. It shifts chemistry in your brain, lifting your focus from fear and breaking the illusion of scarcity that chokes confidence. Gratitude redirects your attention from what's missing to what you can build. Because you can't be both grateful and afraid. You can't truly be thankful and bitter. When you choose gratitude, you choose power. You choose clarity. So ask yourself, what am I already standing on that I've forgotten to appreciate? What people, principles, or second chances have I overlooked, not realizing they were the very foundation holding me up? Picture a traveler crossing a long bridge, steady and dependable, yet never once looking down to see what carries him forward. Don't be that man who forgets to notice. Look down, look back, look within, and then say thank you. Not just with your lips, but with your posture, your breath, with the way you rise from your chair and step into the day. Because when you practice gratitude, you're not simply making yourself feel better. You're sending a message to life itself. You're saying, I recognize what has been given. I honor it, and I'm ready for more. More opportunity, more responsibility, more peace, more challenge. Gratitude makes space for all of it. It isn't weakness, it's proof of maturity. It's the strength to stop waiting and start seeing. This is the practice of those who rise, not because life is easy, but because they've learned to begin each day with open eyes and open hearts. And when you light your mornings with gratitude, something remarkable happens. Opportunities appear, burdens feel lighter, conversations shift. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. So let gratitude speak boldly. Let it lead your morning like armor, not a lullaby. Step into the day knowing this. The man who begins with thanks always ends with strength. Every day brings its own mountain. Sometimes it's clear, a difficult conversation, a project you've delayed, a challenge you've convinced yourself you're not ready for. Other times it hides behind small tasks and petty distractions, waiting until you're too tired to resist. But the mountain is always there. And if you don't face it first in your mind, it will crush you when it blocks your path. Its weight doesn't grow throughout the day. Your energy to face the mountain weakens as the day drags on. That's why mornings matter most. Many men wake up and try to negotiate with the mountain. They postpone the hardest task, promising themselves they'll handle it later. Instead, they bury themselves in a dozen small distractions, hoping momentum will eventually carry them into the big challenge. But it rarely does. Momentum built on avoidance collapses the moment real resistance appears. These men choose comfort before clarity, ease before effort, and in doing so, they betray their own strength. But you cannot walk that path. You must be different. You must face the mountain before the world claims your attention. Not with fear, but with preparation. Not with dread, but with deliberate mental rehearsal. So sit still, breathe deeply, close your eyes, and visualize it, the hardest task of the day. Don't leave it as a vague shadow. Name it. See the details, the conversation, the decision, the writing, the confrontation. Bring it clearly into focus, then watch yourself doing it. See the calm in your body, the certainty in your movements. Hear your voice steady, your actions precise. Feel the moment you complete the very thing you've been tempted to avoid. This is not fantasy, it's mental combat training. Your brain can't fully tell the difference between imagined mastery and real success. When you rehearse the hardest part of your day with calmness and confidence, you plant a memory of victory into your nervous system. You no longer wonder if you can do it. You've already seen yourself succeed. And this changes how you walk, how you breathe, how you begin. Why is it so powerful? Because the hardest part of the hard thing isn't the doing, it's the dread. It's the tension, the delay, the anticipation that drains your strength before you even start. When you remove that by rehearsing the task first thing in the morning, you no longer approach it as a victim of the challenge, but as someone who has already faced it in the mind. You don't just hope to overcome it, you expect to. And that expectation becomes armor, shielding your will from hesitation. Ask yourself clearly, what am I most tempted to avoid today? What is the one thing that, if done, would make everything else feel lighter? What pain am I postponing? What weight am I choosing to carry until the last possible moment? Then ask the deeper question, what would happen if I faced it now, before it grows bigger, darker, heavier in my imagination? Most men polish every other weapon but avoid the one blade they truly need. They sharpen skills they won't use, tidy areas already under control, and hide behind endless preparation. But that's not strength, it's polished cowardice. You must be different. Reach for the blade you fear to touch. Because the task that scares you is the one that shapes you, and the conversation that tightens your chest is the very one that opens your future. The decision that keeps you awake at night is the one that leads to freedom. Face it, write it down, don't let it linger vaguely in your mind. Name the hard thing, declare it clearly on paper, then speak it aloud, not for the world, but for yourself. This I will do first. Not because it's easy, not because you want to, but because it shapes the man you must become. Success doesn't crown the one who dances around difficulty. It belongs to the one who confronts it early and often, who begins the day with courage as his first act, walking straight into what others delay. Pain is temporary, but the power gained is permanent. That's how mountains are moved. Not all at once, but through one decisive choice made before the day begins. Say to yourself, I will not run. I will rise. Each day starts one of two ways: as a stranger to yourself, or as the commanding force of your own destiny. There is no middle ground. The man who avoids his reflection, who walks past the mirror like it's a ghost he fears to face, begins the day already lost. But the man who dares to meet his own gaze, who stands tall and speaks truth into the mirror, becomes unshakable. He doesn't wait for the world to remind him who he is. He reminds himself. Most see the mirror as a surface, a tool for grooming, a place to check appearances. But you must see it as a battlefield, the place where you confront your first and most important opponent. The version of yourself that wants to stay small. That voice will always whisper, you're tired. You're not enough. Maybe tomorrow. And if you don't answer it with something stronger, it will win. This isn't about vanity. It's about vision. It's about training your eyes to see not only who you were yesterday, but who you are becoming today. It's about speaking power into the man staring back at you until that power becomes real, until it becomes the very atmosphere you carry into the world. Stand before the mirror, shoulders back, eyes steady. Not as a ritual of comfort, but as a declaration of intent. Speak with conviction, not softly, not passively, but with force. I am the one who rises. I am the one who delivers. I am the man who does not wait for permission. I am the builder, not the beggar. These are not empty affirmations. They are verbal blueprints. Each word is a command to the soldier within. Understand this. It is not superstition, it is self-command. And the man who refuses to acknowledge himself each morning invites chaos. He enters the day without a standard, without a spine, without a compass. Doubt slips in because nothing strong was spoken to guard against it. Drift follows because no course was declared. So ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you looked yourself in the eye and truly meant what you said? When did you last speak a promise into your reflection and keep it, not for others, but for yourself? That is the measure of integrity, not public performance, but private allegiance. So speak promises, bold ones. Not to impress, not to perform, but to bind yourself. Say, today I will finish. Today I will confront what I've avoided. Today I will lead without waiting to be led. Let those words carry weight. Let them become a covenant, a sacred bond between your reflection and your future. You do not speak because you are already strong. You speak so that strength awakens. Picture a general walking into the war room, eyes lowered, avoiding his own reflection in the glass, afraid of what he might see. That's how most people live, dodging themselves, hoping to stumble into greatness without ever facing their own weakness. But not you. You will face yourself, even when the truth is uncomfortable, even when yesterday ended in failure. You will speak anyway. You'll say, today I rise again, because your words are not mere commentary, they are commands. And when you repeat this day after day, something shifts. At first, it feels like performance. Then it becomes practice. Eventually, it turns into belief. The more you speak to the man in the mirror, the more he listens. And the more he listens, the more he obeys. You say, I lead, and soon you find yourself leading. You say, I finish, and your hands begin to move. You say, I rise, and even on weary days, your posture responds. You're not trying to convince the world. You're convincing yourself. And that is the strongest persuasion of all. No force on earth can rival the momentum of a man who has convinced himself of who he truly is. Not the man the world labels, not the man chained to past failures, but the man who dares to rise again, look himself in the eye, and declare his future with certainty. So don't waste time. Stand before the mirror. Look at the man waiting there, and speak as if his future depends on it, because it does. Visualize your victory before it arrives. Remember, the world does not bend to wishful thinking. It does not respond to hesitation, and it never rewards the man who doubts himself. The world responds to certainty, and certainty is born not in the hands, but in the mind. Before a man moves, before he speaks, before he strikes a deal or lifts a single brick, he must see, not vaguely, not as a hope, but as a vision. The world obeys the man who has already walked through his future in his imagination, who has already built his life in thought before laying a single stone in action. Each morning you face a choice. Begin as a man reacting to the world, or as the man designing it. The latter is the one who wins. And he begins not with noise or a frantic chase for tasks, but with silence, with vision, with imagination so vivid it becomes instruction. Close your eyes and strip the morning of its chaos. Let the world wait. This is your time, your battlefield before the real battlefield. Now see clearly the life you are building, not just the outer image, but the inner man who earns it. See the discipline in your hands as you work, the clarity in your thoughts as you speak, the calm in your presence, the fire in your steps. You are not simply picturing money, applause, or titles. You are envisioning the man himself, the builder, the conqueror, the finisher. You are shaping him like a sculptor pressing clay, molding with conviction, not fantasy. You turn the image in your mind again and again, sharpening it. The room you enter as a man of power, the footsteps that echo with confidence, the voice that no longer wavers, the eyes that reflect the strength of every promise kept. This is not fiction, it is rehearsal. The wise have always known this. The body follows the mind, and action bends to thought. A man who has seen himself win, clearly and repeatedly, cannot help but walk toward it with stronger steps. His breath deepens, his spine straightens, and his words carry weight because they come from a place that has already built the result. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, have you truly seen your life beyond the obstacle, or only imagined what might go wrong? Most men spend more time visualizing failure than victory. They walk through worst-case scenarios, believing rehearsing misery will protect them. But it doesn't, it weakens them. It wires the brain for collapse and teaches the nervous system to flinch. You cannot build what you fear. You cannot hold in your hands what you haven't first embraced in your mind. So stop rehearsing disaster and start rehearsing dominance. Before you leave the house, before messages, people, or work, see it. Drench your mind in certainty. Not wishful certainty, but earned. Not based on ease, but on inevitability. Your life must be built, not by chance, not by others, but by you. For you, because of you. You are the source, the builder, the one who carves it into existence. Imagine a warrior stepping onto the battlefield, not blindly, but with vision. He has already seen the terrain, dreamed the charge, and heard the cry of triumph in his mind. He is not guessing. His sword was drawn in his imagination long before the fight. That is why his step doesn't shake, his eyes don't wander, and even in difficulty, his spirit does not yield. He is not reacting, he is fulfilling a vision. And this is how you must begin your day. Not by accident, but by design. You don't wait for motivation, you summon it. You don't hope for clarity, you create it. The movie of your success must play behind your eyes like a reel that never stops, frame by frame, action by action. You see it, you believe it, and you move toward it with hunger. Something powerful happens when you do this, not once, but daily. Your mind begins to reject anything less. You've seen yourself win, and suddenly mediocrity feels unnatural. You've seen yourself deliver, and now delay feels like betrayal. You've seen victory, and every small act, every hard moment becomes a step toward what you already own in spirit. This is the secret of the relentless. They don't stumble into greatness, they decide it. Visualize it. Commit to it. Then act accordingly. Their vision is so detailed, so vivid, so consistent that the world begins to align. Not because the world changed, but because they did. So tomorrow morning, and every morning after, before you build with your hands, build first with your mind. Before you carry the burden, carry the image. Vision must come first. Not a vague hope or fuzzy goal, but a living reality burned into your eyes. Because the man who has already seen himself win is dangerous. He moves differently. He doesn't beg life for favors. He claims what's his. And the world listens, because it always listens to the one who already knows. Mastery begins with one small habit. Every mountain ever climbed started not with the summit, but with a single step. Every empire that ruled the earth began not with armies, but with the discipline of one law. And every life that becomes legendary begins not with applause or recognition, but with a single deliberate act, a habit repeated daily. Overlooked by the world, but honored by the man who performs it. That is the true origin of greatness. Not in fireworks, but in quiet repetition. Not in chance, but in choice. If you want to build a life most people can't even imagine, you must first build a morning that reflects that vision. And it begins not with everything, but with one thing. A single act, carried out with total commitment. Not as a chore or a box to check, but as a declaration of who you are and who you're becoming. It doesn't matter what the act is, especially at the start. It could be making your bed with precision, taking a cold shower to sharpen discipline, sitting in silence for 10 minutes to master your thoughts, or writing one sentence in your goal book. Today I move forward. The ritual may change, but the rule must not. It must be done without failure, without complaint, without compromise, because the act is not about the task itself. It's about the message. The message you send to your mind every morning: I'm in command. Before the noise, before the pressure, before anyone else shapes your day, you've already spoken. You've declared, I don't wait for permission. I don't need perfect conditions. I move. I act. I begin. Most men fall into the trap of thinking life will only change when something big happens. They wait for the perfect idea, the breakthrough moment, the surge of motivation to carry them forward. But the man who truly changes everything is the one who changes one thing and repeats it until it becomes unbreakable. A pillar, a rhythm, a law written into his very bones. Because habits are never isolated. Mastery over one spills into another. When you take control of even a small area of your life, your mind begins to believe you can take control of more. You start to look at bigger challenges and think, if I can master that small thing without fail, I can handle this too. Empires are not built by sudden conquest, but by daily discipline. And it all begins in the quiet hours when no one is watching, when nothing is urgent except your own commitment. Ask yourself, what is one small thing I can conquer today that makes me feel like I'm already winning? That one act becomes your signal, your spark. No matter how chaotic the rest of the day becomes, if you win that small beginning, you carry momentum. You step into the day with the energy of victory, not reaction. You've already acted like the man you say you are. That momentum isn't just physical, it's mental. It creates a current in your mind, giving you direction, focus, and a sense of control. Do not despise simplicity. The sharpest blade is never forged in a single strike. It's shaped through repetition until what was once dull becomes unbreakable. Excellence isn't built in bursts. It's built in the quiet tension of routine, in the consistency that transforms discipline into identity. Picture a man walking into his day, not rushing, not lost, not waiting for external cues to decide how he feels, but steady, grounded, proud. Not because he won a war, not because of applause, but because he conquered the first 5 minutes. That victory alone carries a gravitational pull. The rest of the day follows its lead. You're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. So choose one habit and make it law. Not a preference, not a should, but non-negotiable. Whether tired, busy, discouraged, or behind schedule, it gets done. That commitment becomes your armor, your proof. Each time you follow through, you reinforce a truth deep in your subconscious. I am who I say I am. I do what I said I would do. That kind of proof changes how you walk, how you speak, and what you expect from yourself and the world. Most people chase everything and master nothing. They're full of ambition but empty of discipline. The man who becomes unstoppable is the one who masters one. He claims it as his own, refusing to fail no matter what. And when that truth is lived long enough, it becomes part of him. Once it becomes who you are, no one can take it away. That's the beginning. The mountain's first stone, the empire's first law, the seed of greatness hidden in a quiet act repeated every morning. So tomorrow, don't aim for everything. Aim for one. Do it with excellence. Do it without exception. Do it until it defines you. Because success does not belong to the man who tries everything. It belongs to the man who masters one. Repeat to yourself the law of compensation. The world pays you exactly what you earn. No more, no less. This isn't cruelty. It's law. And when you embrace that law, it becomes power. If you want to rise, truly rise, you must anchor your mornings in this unshakable truth. You are not rewarded for what you desire. You are rewarded for what you deliver. The world does not move for the man who complains, waits, or hopes to be discovered. It moves for the one who brings value, clearly and consistently, without needing applause. That's why each morning, before the noise of the day arrives, you must speak this law aloud. I will be rewarded in direct proportion to the service I render. Not for who I know, not for what I wish, not for the image I project, but for the real value I deliver day after day. Let these words sink into your bloodstream. Let them echo in your mind. This law clears the fog, burns away illusions, strips you of blame, and fills you with direction. Suddenly, the path is clear, not easy, but clear. You don't need to chase luck. You need to serve better. This law is powerful because it turns your focus inward. It forces you to stop asking, why don't I have more? And start asking, what am I truly giving? That question pierces the ego and shines light in corners you've ignored. Have you been giving your best, or just enough to get by? Do you show up as if the world owes you, or as someone grateful to contribute? Every morning gives you a chance to reset that answer. Each day, you stand at the gate of another 24 hours and choose how you will show up, how much heart you will bring, how deeply you will serve. Not because someone told you to, but because it's who you are becoming. So ask yourself with ruthless honesty, what value will I bring today, without being asked, without reminders, without needing a reward? That is the true measure of a man. Not what he does when others are watching, but what he gives when no one demands it. The silent craftsman, the unseen warrior, the one who stays late, who perfects the work, who adds that final polish even when no customer will ever notice. That man builds something far more valuable than a paycheck. He builds reputation. And with time, reputation becomes leverage. Reputation becomes wealth. Picture a craftsman finishing each piece with such care that even if no one else notices, he does. He runs his hand along the smooth surface, proud, not because it pays him more immediately, but because it reflects who he is. Over time, customers return, whispers spread, and his name enters rooms before he does. That's how true wealth is built, not by chasing attention, but by chasing excellence. Because here's the truth most avoid. You are paid in spiritual gold long before you're ever paid in coin. That gold is forged in the quiet moments, in the extra minutes you devote, in the depth of thought you bring, in the way you carry yourself. Every action is a deposit. Every choice is a vote for the man you are becoming. So make a vow each morning, not to please others, not to get ahead, but to honor the standard you've set for yourself. Say it with conviction. Today, I will give more than I take. I will outwork my position. I will overdeliver in silence. Let this be your creed, not just your strategy, because once it becomes who you are, results will follow. Not always immediately, but inevitably. Compensation is not a mystery. It is a mirror. The world reflects back not what you think you deserve, but what you actually earn. And if you consistently give more than you're paid for, one day you will be paid more than you give. This is the secret that separates the average from the extraordinary. The average man waits to be noticed. The extraordinary man makes himself impossible to ignore, not with noise, but with value. The irony is that the moment you stop chasing payment and start focusing on service, payment rises. Not because you begged for it, but because you became too valuable to ignore. Value commands attention. It commands reward. It commands respect, not loudly, but lastingly. Each day will reward you in direct proportion to what you give it. Nothing more, nothing less. The world is not unfair, it is exact. The mirror does not lie. So if you want it to reflect success, abundance, and strength, then give the day something worthy of reflection. Let others wait to be motivated. Let others wait to be paid more before they give more. But you, lead with service, lead with effort, lead with the quiet power of a man who proves his worth before he speaks it. In the end, success does not belong to the loud. It belongs to the useful. And usefulness is built daily, quietly, relentlessly, by those who understand that compensation is never a gift, it's a response. Strengthen the courage to decide. The weak wait. The strong decide. Every morning, the line is drawn in the sand. You either step forward with decision or shrink back into delay. This is not philosophy, it's survival. Life does not wait for you to feel ready. It moves. It shifts. And if you don't train yourself to choose, act, and commit, you'll be crushed under the weight of hesitation. Indecision is not harmless. It's a disease, a silent killer of potential. It seeps in, eats away your time, clouds your focus, and leaves you standing still while life races past. The man who cannot decide becomes a prisoner of every possible outcome, tortured by what-ifs, paralyzed by fear of imperfection. But the man who decides quickly, clearly, and with conviction becomes a weapon, sharp, direct, unstoppable. And this power must be trained daily, not only in big moments, but every morning before the world reaches for you. Before emails, headlines, or obligations fracture your mind, you must renew the courage to decide, not just what to wear or what to eat, but how to live, how to move, how to lead yourself. Begin your morning with 3 clear decisions. Small, yet intentional. Decide how you will use your time. Will you command the hours or let them slip away? Decide how you will respond to challenge. Will you meet resistance with resolve or retreat? Decide who you will be no matter what storms rise. Will you react or remain relentless? These are not casual questions. They are calls to arms, because each day your energy is either directed or divided. Energy without direction builds nothing. A man who refuses to choose becomes one pulled by everything: opinions, distractions, emotions, and the false comfort of delay. But the man who decides deliberately and consistently becomes immovable. His days begin with purpose. His minutes serve a mission. His actions align with his vision. Why does this matter? Because decision is not just about speed, it is about strength. When you decide, you simplify. You reclaim power. No longer do you waste energy on the endless debates that steal days, weeks, even years. A decision ends that cycle. It creates direction, and direction fuels momentum. Even an imperfect decision made with conviction will carry you farther than the perfect decision made too late. So ask yourself now, in the stillness of morning, what am I still hesitating on? What choice have I avoided? What path have I stared at but never walked? What part of my life is crumbling because I refuse to decide? Picture a king standing at the crossroads of his kingdom. 2 roads stretch before him, and day after day he returns to the same spot. He consults advisors. He waits for signs. He thinks. He doubts. And as he hesitates, his people weaken, his army loses faith, his power dissolves. Not because he chose wrongly, but because he chose nothing. Now picture another king. He wakes, looks at the roads, and chooses. Not recklessly, but with resolve. He knows the risks. He feels the weight of leadership. Yet he also knows that clarity, any clarity, is better than paralysis. His army rallies, his kingdom moves. Even if the road is hard, they walk it together with purpose. You must become that king of your mind, your schedule, your destiny. Decide and then move. Because the longer you wait, the heavier the choice becomes. Emotion wraps around it. Doubt infects it. Until you're no longer choosing between 2 roads, but between progress and decay. Each morning, stand before your reflection. Before the noise, before the demands, speak decisiveness into your soul. I do not wait. I do not drift. I decide and I advance. Say it with force, with clarity, with the authority of a man no longer interested in wandering. The world does not move for hesitation. It moves for the few who dare to choose and stand by their choice. You will make mistakes. You will doubt. That is inevitable. But the man who decides, even wrongly, learns, adapts, grows. The one who refuses to choose fades away, watching his potential rot in the comfort of indecision. So build the habit. Carve it into your mornings. 3 decisions before the world speaks. What will I do? How will I act? Who will I be? These answers are not distant. They are immediate. and they are yours to command. The man who begins his day with decision will end it with progress. In time, the world responds, not with confusion, but with respect. You're no longer seen as lost, but as leading, and that's because you are. Fortune never falls into the hands of the passive. It seeks the decisive, the ones who stop waiting, the ones who move with fire, the ones who declare, I have decided, now watch me build. Remind yourself that you control your emotions. You are not a leaf tossed around by the storm. You were not born to flinch every time life raises its voice. Inside you is the power to govern the most unruly kingdom on earth, your emotions. And if you want to live with strength, clarity, and direction, each morning must begin with claiming that power. Before the world has the chance to demand, distract, or insult, stand alone with yourself and say, I control my emotions. They do not control me. This isn't a chant, nor a quote to hang on the wall. It is law, the law of your inner world. Because without it, every outer success eventually crumbles. The man who rides waves of emotion will always crash in the valleys they create. He will speak too soon, react too harshly, quit too early. But the man who governs his emotions rules his life, not because he feels less, but because he chooses how to respond. Discipline begins not in the body, but in the mind. It's not only what you think, but what you allow yourself to feel without being consumed. It starts the moment your eyes open, before anyone speaks, before any circumstance arises. In that stillness, you must plant your flag. Today, I will not be swayed by insult. I will not be moved by fear. I will not crumble under pressure. I remain steady. This is not denial, it is refinement. You are not ignoring emotion. You are mastering it. To feel deeply, yet choose deliberately, is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can get carried away. But to feel the heat of anger, the pull of discouragement, or the shadow of fear, and still choose your next move with clarity, that is rare. That is power. That is manhood in its purest form. So ask yourself each morning, what emotion has ruled me lately? Is it frustration, self-doubt, bitterness, jealousy? Don't ask to indulge it, but to confront it. Because what you do not name, you cannot lead. And what you do not lead will rule you. A mood may seem small, but moods shape mindsets, and mindsets shape lives. You cannot allow a single sour emotion to dictate the tone of your day. You cannot let a careless word break your focus. What is one moment of offense compared to a life of purpose? What is one fleeting feeling compared to the mission you've set out to fulfill? Each morning, you step into a courtroom, and the judge is your mind. There you decide what thoughts remain, and which must be cast out. If you don't take that seat, emotion will take it for you. Imagine a man who rebuilds his house every time the wind shifts. He would never know rest, never know strength, never build anything lasting. But the wise man digs deep. He builds on a foundation that does not sway with the weather, rooted in principle, in purpose, in self-command. That must be you. You cannot stop the winds from blowing, but you can refuse to be moved by every gust. So speak it with authority, out loud. Not as a hope, but as an order you give yourself. Today, I will choose my response. I will not be ruled by feelings. I command myself. Say it with force. Let your voice rise from your chest to your mind until your body knows exactly who is in charge. Because by noon, the storm will come, it always does. Something will break. Someone will misunderstand you. A delay will tempt you to rage or retreat. That is life. But when chaos arrives, it won't find a man scrambling to react. It will find a man whose mind is already fortified, who built his inner fortress in the silence of dawn, brick by brick. A man who does not seek comfort, but commands composure. And when the storm presses against his gates, it finds them locked, not by luck, but by choice. This is the quiet strength that wins. Not the loudest voice in the room, not the one performing resilience for show. It is the one who, in solitude, chooses calm before it's needed. The one who sharpens his composure like a warrior sharpens his blade, daily, privately, relentlessly. And this must be you. You must choose to win, not only your goals but your emotions. Because a man who is ruled by feelings can be manipulated, distracted, or delayed. But the man who masters his emotions at dawn is untouchable by dusk. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings and stillness is yours, don't rush into the noise. Don't start with chaos. Start with mastery. Say it again with clarity. I am not ruled by feeling. I am ruled by principle. I am calm. I am clear. I command myself. And carry that fire into the day, not to destroy, but to build. Build your thoughts. Build your work. Build your legacy. Because the world does not belong to the most emotional man. It belongs to the most disciplined one. Study one sentence that elevates your thinking. Words carry power. Not the shallow, forgettable noise of chatter, but the deep shaping force of truth, chosen like a blade and wielded in silence. Nowhere is this more powerful than in the morning, when your mind is soft like clay and your spirit is ready to be formed. In that sacred stillness, before the world begins shouting, before messages flood in and duties pull you in every direction, you have a window, a moment, a chance to seize one idea and let it lift your mental altitude like the first gust beneath a rising eagle. You don't need 100 voices in your head each morning. You need one principle, one sentence, one line of truth that strikes like a bell and keeps ringing all day. Find it, read it slowly, speak it aloud, not as a whisper, but as if you are making a vow. Then ask yourself, how will I live this today? Most men treat wisdom like fast food, consumed quickly, forgotten even faster. They collect quotes, highlight books, repost ideas, yet go through the day unchanged. They chase more words, hoping volume will make up for the lack of depth. But it never does, because truth doesn't transform you when you read it. It transforms you when you live it. You must not collect words, you must apply them. You must build your days around them. And this starts not with volume, but with focus. A single sentence, truly understood and lived, has the power to shift your posture, your tone, your entire rhythm. The mind, freshly awakened, is not meant to be crowded. It is meant to be guided. And that guidance begins with one thread of meaning woven deeply into your thoughts. Imagine coming across a line like, "The man who serves best earns most." You could skim it and nod, or you could carry it like a sword. You could let it guide how you treat people, how you approach your work, how you respond to pressure, and even how you measure success. It becomes your lens, your compass, your quiet challenge to rise above impulse and live by principle. Just one line, fully lived. This isn't modern self-help. It's ancient. It's what the Stoics practiced, what warriors, monks, masters, and builders across history always did. They didn't rush to learn everything. They chose one truth and lived it until it shaped them. That's how men are made, not by accumulation, but by application. Ask yourself, am I racing to learn everything, or slowing down to live one truth deeply? The difference defines not only how you think, but who you become. Picture a mason. He tries to build an entire wall in one day, stacking stones quickly without care. By evening it stands, but by morning it's cracked, collapsed, forgotten. Now imagine another mason. Each morning he lays just one stone, carefully, precisely, checking the base and alignment. Day after day he repeats this. A year later, his wall stands strong, built to endure storms, built to last. Your mind is that wall. Each morning you lay a stone. You can rush and hope it holds, or slow down and build something worthy, something that won't collapse under life's pressure. Choose your sentence like you choose your foundation, and lay it with care. This is not weakness. This is not simplicity for its own sake. It is strength in its purest form. This is strength. When you live by one clear principle each day, your energy isn't scattered, it's sharpened. You become decisive, focused, and clear. And in a world that moves too fast, clarity is rare power. So tomorrow morning, don't open 10 tabs. Find one idea, one sentence that makes you pause. The kind that speaks to the part of you still growing. Write it down. Say it aloud. Reflect on it like a sculptor runs his hand along the edge of a statue. Let it shape how you move. Because the man who learns one line deeply gains far more than the man who reads 1,000 and changes nothing. One idea lived fully is worth more than a library left untouched. Each morning gives you the chance to choose depth over distraction, mastery over motion, foundation over flash. You don't need more knowledge, you need more use. And the morning's stillness, focused and sacred, is the best time to turn use into habit, rhythm, and identity. Words hold power not when hoarded or repeated mindlessly, but when chosen with care, applied with intent, and lived with courage. So choose your sentence. Let it guide your hands, your tone, your presence. In time, you'll discover you haven't just learned something. You've become something. One sentence, lived well, is how greatness begins. Each morning is a silent challenge. The sun has not spoken, the world still waits. But within you, two roads rise, one lined with warmth, comfort, indulgence, and quiet temptation. The other is steep, cold, demanding effort and discipline. You do not stroll into greatness, you decide into it. And the cruel trick of life is this: if you do not choose, the easy path will choose you. Not with a shout, but with a whisper it begins. Rest a little longer, delay just a bit, avoid the discomfort. And before you realize it, the day is surrendered. That's why the first act of the day must be a declaration, not to the world, but to yourself. Say it aloud, with strength. Today I reject the easy path. I choose the difficult one because it sharpens me. These words cannot be a hollow mantra. They must be a weapon, a blade drawn against weakness, a vow to your future self that you will not walk the road of mediocrity. The easy path flatters, it seduces, it offers no resistance, and that is its poison. For resistance is what forges strength. The easy path convinces you that you've earned a break long before you've built anything worth resting from. It gives momentary relief, but lifelong regret. It offers temporary escape, yet robs you of power. What feels like comfort slowly mutates into captivity. You may think you're choosing ease, but in truth, you're trading away potential for softness. You exchange discipline for dopamine, long-term reward for a fleeting sugar rush of ease. Each morning you wake with the possibility of becoming formidable, yet without resistance. That possibility dissolves into routine, into stagnation, into self-betrayal. So ask yourself, am I avoiding pain, or am I becoming powerful? The two never walk together. The path to power is carved in discomfort. That is the cost. Those who rise do not rise because it is easy. They rise in spite of difficulty. They wake and walk into discomfort, knowing that greatness never welcomes the weak-willed, and neither does life. The greats we admire, the ones we study, did not stumble into success by accident. They didn't fall into excellence. They chose discipline when desire screamed, structure when mood whispered, and long-term triumph over short-term pleasure. That is the secret, plain, but often ignored. Every day they fought themselves before they fought the world. So start simple. Deny yourself one thing each morning: an indulgence, a craving, a shortcut, an excuse. It may feel meaningless, but it isn't. It is a seed. Plant it daily, and it grows roots. Each act of resistance to ease strengthens your identity as someone with real power. Not just motivation, but self-command. Picture a soldier, strong in body, yet weak in mind. One morning, he says it's too cold to train. That one morning becomes 2, then 10. Soon he forgets the mission, forgets the battle, forgets he was made for war, all because of comfort. That is the true price of ease. It erodes your edge silently, until one day you wonder, where did my strength go? Now picture the same man rising before the sun, cold ground beneath his feet, fatigue heavy in his bones, and still he moves. Not because it feels good, but because it is necessary. In that moment when he says no to ease and yes to the path of pain, he remembers his purpose and his power. Because success is not built on talent. It is built on refusals. Refusals to hit snooze, to indulge weakness, to quit when no one is watching. These are the bricks that pave the road to mastery. Not applause, not luck, not gifts, but the private decisions no one claps for. So speak it now, not tomorrow, not someday now. With resolve, I do not follow the easy path. I create my own. These words are more than a rejection of comfort. They are a declaration of identity. You are not what you feel. You are what you do, especially when it's hard. Each time you move forward while discomfort pulls at you, you send a message to your mind. I am in control. This is what separates the forgotten from the remembered, the ordinary from the legendary. Greatness is not inherited. It is carved with sweat and sacrifice, with mornings of saying no to comfort and yes to growth. And you will be tested daily, not always in grand ways, but in small choices. Will you rise when the bed tempts you? Will you focus when your mind wants to drift? Will you finish the task when motivation is absent? These are the hidden places where character is forged, not on stage, but in solitude, in silence, in sweat. So when the morning comes, as it always will, don't wait for the right feeling. Don't negotiate with weakness. Rise, speak, move, and carve. The world does not need more followers. It needs forgers, those who dare, who deny ease, and choose fire. Because in the end, your life will reflect the path you chose each morning. Let it not be one of comfort, but one of conquest. Reconnect with your highest standards. Each morning is a quiet battlefield before noise, opinions, and distractions pull at your focus. You are given a sacred moment to decide who you will be. Not who the world expects, not who you were yesterday, but who you must become if you are to live a life of strength, untainted by compromise. And in that instant, before your feet touch the ground, one thing matters: your standards. The world will try to sell you mediocrity dressed as acceptance, comfort as clarity, and distraction as direction. That is why you must anchor yourself each morning. Not to what is common, not to what is average, but to what is exceptional for you. Because if you don't, you may not notice how far you've drifted. One day, you'll wake up and wonder why you're not who you intended to be. It won't be from a lack of dreams, but from a lack of standards, the daily lines you refuse to draw and refuse to honor. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your discipline. And that discipline is guarded by your standards. If you don't burn them into your mind each day, they fade. Quietly, silently, and fatally. One broken promise, one delayed decision, one soft excuse. And before long, the man you were becoming is buried under layers of justification. Don't begin the day drifting into someone else's agenda. Start by facing yourself. Look in the mirror, not with vanity, but with clarity, and declare, "This is who I am. This is how I live. This is what I refuse to compromise." Speak it aloud and mean it. Let your own words guide you, because your standards aren't just expectations, they are commands. Write them down, not once, but daily. See them not as ideals, but as non-negotiables. The minimum threshold for your focus, your integrity, your behavior. Ask yourself, am I walking today as a man with standards, or drifting like a man with none? That answer tells you everything. A man without standards is like a ship without a keel. He may move, but he never leads. He may speak, but his words carry no weight. He may work, but his effort collapses under pressure. Most people never choose their standards. They inherit them. From parents, surroundings, peers. They pick them up like lint, never questioning, never forging their own. But you must build yours. You must forge them with fire in your chest and precision in your mind. Not once, but every morning. Because even the strongest steel rusts if left untended, and so does character. Picture a captain at sea, sailing not by his compass, but by another man's. His sails are full, his crew is busy, yet he drifts. He'll arrive somewhere, but not at his true destination. That is what happens when your standards are not your own. You live fast, but not wise, loud, but not intentional. So hold the compass, your compass. Define your lines and stand by them. Not with arrogance, but with honor. Refuse sloppy words. Refuse weak effort. Refuse excuses where discipline is required. And above all, refuse to tolerate anything less than your best from yourself. The real danger isn't in what others expect of you, but in what you permit yourself to accept. Your life will never rise above the floor you've set, so set it high and hold it. Say it now, let it become your oath. Today, I hold the line. I uphold my code. I am not available for anything beneath the man I am becoming. Speak it with strength. Let your body feel the weight of those words. Because this isn't motivation, it's identity. And once your standards become who you are, discipline flows naturally. You no longer force yourself to show up. You simply live your code. That's when transformation becomes inevitable. A man with standards doesn't chase greatness. He attracts it. Not with empty declarations, but with consistency. He doesn't need to shout his values. They echo in his actions, in his tone, in the way he carries himself. Excellence is drawn to him because he embodies it. Excellence recognizes itself, and mediocrity cannot survive around a man who stands firm in his non-negotiables. But never forget, standards aren't built in grand moments. They are forged in small decisions. Brushing your teeth when you don't feel like it, correcting your posture when no one is watching, finishing the task even when your motivation fades. These are the bricks that build the man. Not applause, not praise, but repetition, the quiet, relentless repetition of choices that declare, I refuse to live beneath what I know I am capable of. So each morning, before the world steals your attention, return to your standards and recommit. Refuse to drift, refuse to follow, Refuse to forget who you are becoming. Let the day be shaped by you, not by chance, not by reaction, not by comfort. Because at the end of your life, pride won't come from dreams you once spoke about, but from the standards you never broke. And when people ask what changed, your answer won't be a single moment. It will be this: every morning I chose. The greatest tragedy is not falling short or stumbling on the climb. It's forgetting who you are becoming, the man you once envisioned. The one you promised to build with your time, energy, and discipline begins to dissolve when you stop remembering him each morning. That is why every day must start not only with action, but with a reunion, a powerful meeting with the future you, the man you're shaping with each decision you make today. Before you check messages or let the world flood you with noise, close your eyes and see him. That man you're chasing is not a fantasy. He is your potential, waiting to be claimed. He stands tall, his words deliberate, his presence undeniable. He commands respect without ever needing to demand it. He earns success not through luck, but through relentless consistency. And that man is you, but only if you choose him again and again. So say it out loud. Today, I recommit to becoming him. These are not empty words. They are a vow, a line in the sand between who you've been and who you refuse to abandon. Let that vision burn behind your eyes. Let it anchor you to something greater than the moment. Because the day ahead will tempt you with comfort, with chaos, with excuses. And unless you recommit to your future, the present will sweep you away into forgetfulness. Motivation is fleeting. It comes with music, emotion, bursts of clarity, but it fades. That's why recommitment is stronger. It's a decision, not a feeling. It doesn't wait for the right mood. It creates the right direction. When you recommit, you override doubt. You overrule fatigue. You make a declaration: no matter how I feel, I will build today. That is where real transformation begins. Not in grand moments, but in the quiet, steady choice to remember. Most men start with fire. They begin boldly, shouting their goals with excitement. But where are they when it gets hard? Where are they when progress slows, when failure comes, when routine sets in and applause fades? Most vanish, not because they lack talent, but because they never recommitted. They let time pass without returning to their vision, and slowly, it died. Ask yourself, who am I becoming? Not what I want, not what I hope, but who is that man I'm working to become? Then ask, what does he expect of me this morning? Does he expect you to sleep in, to drift half awake? Or does he demand precision, focus, effort, and honor? Answer honestly, then write it down. Speak it aloud. Let your own voice become the fire that lights the way. Picture a builder standing at the side of the house he dreamed of. On day one, he holds a blueprint, a vision, a clear direction. But each morning, instead of reviewing the plan, he builds from memory. He grabs whatever is nearby, sticks, stones, scraps, and adds it to the frame. By day 10, the structure leans. By day 30, it collapses. Why? Not for lack of tools, but for lack of recommitment to the plan. That's how most people live. Drifting, guessing, forgetting. But the builder who returns to the blueprint every morning builds with alignment. He checks his measurements. He corrects yesterday's mistakes. He remembers the design. He doesn't build what's easy. He builds what's true. And over time, something extraordinary rises. Not a ruin, but a monument. Something that lasts. Something that inspires. Proof of what's possible when you stay committed to the vision. This is your calling, your discipline. Each morning, return to the blueprint. Don't let your life be a reaction. Let it be construction. Stand firm and declare, no matter how I feel, I recommit. No matter what happened yesterday, I recommit. I choose to build. Because that choice, repeated daily, becomes identity. And once it becomes identity, it becomes destiny. You won't always feel powerful or clear. Some mornings your mind will be clouded, your body resistant, yesterday's failures whispering shame. But that is exactly when recommitment matters most. Recommitment isn't for the easy days. It is what makes you strong when it's hard. It's the bridge between yesterday's stumble and today's rise. The man who achieves greatness isn't the one who started perfectly. He's the one who refused to stop building. The one who returned to the plan while others drifted. Who said yes again when everything inside wanted to say no. Who remembered when everyone else forgot. That is where greatness is born, not from talent or brilliance, but from the relentless return to the man you promised to become. So let this morning be that return. Stand before the mirror. Not to check your hair, but to check your resolve. Close your eyes. See that man again. Hear his voice. Watch him lead. Feel what it's like to be him. Then open your eyes and make it your mission. Every word, every move, every task must reflect the man you saw. And if you fall short, fall forward, then recommit again. Because monuments are built this way, one brick, one vow, one recommitment at a time. And the man you're building is worth every effort. The morning is not just a time to wake up. It is a moment of command, a chance to declare not just how you will feel, but who you will become. Too many men chase inspiration, sip it like fuel, and expect it to last the entire day. But inspiration is only a spark. It fades. It flickers. If you rely on that alone, you'll stop at the first sign of resistance. That is why your morning must not end with inspiration. It must end with a vow, a silent but fierce promise to endure, a commitment to persist, no matter how the day unfolds. Because storms will come, disappointments will arrive uninvited, plans will be delayed, doubt will surround you, obstacles will rise like walls. And unless you've already decided to keep going, you won't. But the man who begins his day not only dreaming, but declaring, "I persist," cannot be broken. Not because he's stronger than others, but because he chose to be unshakable before the shaking began. Say it aloud, not as ritual, but as a contract with your character. Today I persist. Through boredom, through pressure, through setbacks, I do not stop. Let those words fill your lungs before the day tries to knock the breath out of you. Because the moment you speak them, you plant a flag in your mind. You create a standard your future self must rise to meet. Oh, you turn motivation into mission. This vow is not poetic, it's practical. It becomes the anchor you cling to when fatigue sets in, when results are delayed, when nothing goes as planned. Your body will want to quit. Your mind will whisper alternatives. But if you made the vow loud enough, it will speak louder. Most people give up too soon, not because they're weak or lack talent, but because they never chose to persist before the challenge arrived. They treated the day like a gamble, not a battle. When the winds shifted, they turned back. But you must not. Make the promise in the calm so you can keep it in the storm. Ask yourself now, before chaos begins, when the moment comes to quit, what will I say? Will I surrender and call it too hard? Or will I remind myself, I already decided to finish? Will I delay and say maybe tomorrow? Or will I stand firm and say, I show up no matter what? Picture a man rowing across the sea. He cannot see the shore. Waves rise like mountains. Wind slaps his face. The cold bites his fingers. There is no cheering crowd, no one to validate his effort. The boat creaks. The journey drags on, yet he never drops the oars. Not because the sea is calm, but because he made the promise before he left the shore. I will not stop until I reach the other side. And so, even with no land in sight, he rose. Even when the waves mock his pace, he rose. Even when his arms burn and his thoughts beg for relief, he rose. Because he is not rowing for a mood. He is rowing for a mission. That is the kind of vow you must make every morning. Write it, speak it, burn it into your bones. Make it part of your identity. I persist, I overcome, I finish. Let that be the rhythm beneath your silence, the voice beneath your doubt, the truth louder than fatigue. Repeat it until quitting feels foreign, not familiar. Here's the truth most never say. The world moves for the man who keeps moving. Not for the clever, not for the loud, not even for the most talented. It moves for the one who refuses to stop, especially when no one is watching. That's what matters most, what you do when the crowd is gone. When the lights are off, when there's no scoreboard, no applause, no validation, the man who still shows up wins. Slowly, quietly, but undeniably. And when his breakthrough arrives, the world wonders, where did he come from? They don't see he's been there all along. Rowing, pushing, persisting, keeping a promise no one else could hear, but one he never forgot. So make that promise now. Not later, not when you feel ready, but in the stillness of morning before the pressure begins. Make it with conviction, not just to act, but to endure. Don't wait to see how the day unfolds before deciding how you'll show up. Decide first. Decide firmly. Decide like your future depends on it, because it does. The vow is simple, but its power is complete. Today, I persist. I am here to try. I am here to finish. Let that be the stamp on your heart as you step into the day. Let this be your oath in moments of resistance. Let it be the last word every time weakness tries to speak. You're not here for comfort. not to coast, not to dabble. You're here to build, to finish, to become. And that demands stamina. Not just physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual stamina. And that strength is born from one thing: repeated, ruthless recommitment. Each morning begins with a vow. You are not the man who simply tries. You are the man who persists through it all. So rise, speak it, live it. I persist. I overcome. I finish. And the world will move because you never stop. Success doesn't start with luck. It starts with intention. Every morning you hold the power to shape your mindset, your energy, and your future. Make this ritual your foundation and watch doors open, opportunities appear, and confidence become your natural state. Keep showing up, keep doing this one thing, and success won't just visit, it will remain. Your future is watching how you begin each day. Make it count every single morning. Wishing you health, happiness, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily.